Are we good? Cool. I wanted to talk a little bit about, what do we do when we don't feel worthy? What are you supposed to do when you don't feel like you can do what you're supposed to do? I honestly believe a lot of that comes from your confidence and your worth, what you believe your worth is. It's like picking up this stick and saying, oh, let's see. I mean, if it breaks, it's not gonna have a lot of worth. But if it stays whole, then it has a lot of worth, right? Well, I guess it doesn't have any worth, even though I did have to put some pressure on breaking it, right? So that should have some kind of say in the worth value. Huh. What about this? Rose quartz. I don't know if you can see the rainbow in there, but what worth is this? Some would say it's just a rock, right? I mean, it is. It's just a rock. The value is what we have placed behind it. Unless we're thinking quartz. Then, what does quartz do? Think of the power it really holds in our watches and our TVs and our phones, It's a conductor of energy. We're conductors of energy. Conductor of energy that I just snapped in half because I'm rude. Right? What does our self-worth say about ourselves? And what do we do when we can't articulate how to get it back in the right position it belongs in, so we can do the thing that we feel we need to do? Well, what are you putting here? What's coming out of here? What are you putting in here? What are you listening to? What are you seeing? And what's coming out of your heart and out of your mind when we're feeling those places? We can tell by what's coming out of our mouth. You can tell a lot about what we believe in by what comes out of our mouth, what kind of worth we place on things by the things that come out of our mouth. We can honestly tell a lot about the worth we put on things by the things we're consuming and our receptors. And I honestly believe that if we're not consuming the things that are going to help us believe our self-worth is what it is and what it should be, confident, whole, ready to do the thing, right? Like a David character running after the enemy, full faith in God, right? Hands up, like ready to go, not shrieking back in fear, hiding, right? Covering myself up. No, David didn't even need armor. Think about that for a second. He was like, no, this is too heavy. I need to just be my own self, and I need to go after the enemy doing my own thing. Well, David had that confidence. He had that knowing, right? He knew he could beat the enemy with God as the forefront, like it was God, right? It wasn't David. David didn't have any confidence within himself. He had confidence in God. And he defeated the enemy. He defeated Goliath with the first stone. And it's like, I didn't even plan on talking about that story, just, that's just how spirit moves, I guess. It's just so good. I'm gonna learn something from this. This is exciting. But that's just what it is. Where do we get that worth? Where do we get that confidence to go after the enemy, to go after the problem that's causing disarray, causing whatever in the background, the disturbance? What do we do? How do we fix what's going into our eyes and our ears? Where do we go? You know, it's amazing the things I'm hearing, but I'm reading it different in the Word. Holy Scripture. The KJV. So much talk. There's a lot to be said about this. You see, we're fearfully and wonderfully made. And it says that in Jeremiah. I believe that says that in the Psalms as well. We were created to be a holy generation, a royal priesthood. Why don't we act like it? Or why is it just the people who go to school and go to seminary who are allowed to be those things? It's not what the Word says. A lot of people don't know what the Word says. They've forsaken it. They've forsaken Deuteronomy 28 and 29. They don't even know what it says. And I feel like that's where the limiting self-beliefs can step in, because we don't know who self is supposed to be. I mean, there's no shame. Don't be afraid of what I'm saying right now, please. And if I am, forgive me. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to scare you, but I am trying to instill what I truly believe wholeheartedly in my being is the truth. Because sometimes I forget, but I always have to go back to the same things that help me remember, so I can do this, so I can do the thing that is so scary to me. Putting myself out here is terrifying to me. Not, hiding. Not wanting myself to be seen. I think we all go through that. We do. We all go through that. I know that. I feel it in my being. But in order to do my part, I have to be seen. I have to put myself out here. I have to do the thing. So how do we go on, right? Naked, purely naked, in our weakness, not in our strength, not in what man says is strength, which is armor, right? And what's God's armor? How do we do that? What is this? What am I talking about? All these things. Where do we find that shield to fight off the shield of faith, to fight off the army, the fiery darts of the devil? Where do we find that? How do we get that? How do we get the shoes of peace? How do we find that? Where do we get this? In Galatians 5, I believe it is. I could be wrong. I know it's in the Bible. You see, I taught Sunday school for 8 years. And then I had it in me to I'm going to read the whole Bible in a year. And I just started listening to the Spirit and just listening to my intuition, that inner voice that tells you to do things that doesn't quite make sense. And then all of a sudden it starts making sense. And you're like, why aren't we learning about these things? Why is it talking about Noah's Ark? That even it started there for me. It really did. Why is it that it's talking about the clean animals were 7 and then the unclean were 2, but yet we're saying it's 2, and it's written in all the children's stories like that? Why is it like that? Please, why? It's, even if you're not biblically literate, or if you're not biblically understanding, it's totally fine. I can help. I'm here. But the concordance is there, you can download it. It's I don't know, man. It just doesn't make any sense. The Word says, don't take away, don't add to. If you do, all of these things are going to be added to you. All these problems are going to be added to you. So why would we do that? Why would somebody do that, man? I just don't understand. I'm trying to get one up on God, I'm sure, but it's just sad. It's just unnecessary. It causes so much confusion, and then you have a silly nilly-willy like me who comes up and is like, oh yeah, I read this, what about that? And they're like, what? That's not what my pastor said. That's not what this book said. It's but Did you read it, man? Did you read it, lady? We're not supposed to forsake the assembling of ourselves, like the actual human. We're not supposed to stop helping each other, and yet we have. It's weird. Everything is just... evil is good, and good will be called evil. That's what the word says. That will happen in the end times. And that's really what's happened. I'm seeing it. It's terrifying. But there's a plan. It's written. It is 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 written. Matthew 16. I think we just talked about that in my last video. Yeah. Well, me doing my part actually means showing up for you guys. Quit hiding behind the screen, the screen. Quit hiding behind the screen. And start showing my face in front of it and allowing you guys to... oh, I hope you guys can see. To understand what I'm seeing. And if you're not putting yourself willfully there, then you know what I mean? Like, I can at least be the mediator I've always been. Just stand in the gap. Sit at the kitchen table while mom and dad fight and make sure nothing gets out of hand. Hi, that's me. You can call me Lay. I like being called Lay-Nola. Or you can call me Amber. It's the same thing.